She wasn't a high roller. She wasn't a whale. She was a cocktail waitress on her day off, sitting at a slot machine with a cup of coins and no particular reason to believe her life was about to change forever. Then, the reels stopped. The lights exploded. The number on the screen said $44 million. And for one breathless moment, she was the luckiest woman in Las Vegas. Then, the casino called security. Then, the lawyers arrived. And Vegas, the city built on the promise that anyone can win, looked her dead in the eye and said, "You didn't." Who she was, the woman before the win. This is not a story about luck. It is a story about a system so carefully constructed, so legally armored, so deeply embedded in the architecture of this city that even when you win, even when the lights flash and the sirens scream and the number on the screen is bigger than anything you have ever imagined, the house can still take it back. All it needs is 6 words. We will get to those 6 words. But first, you need to understand who Cynthia J was, because her story only means something if you understand that she was nobody special, and that's exactly the point. Cynthia J. Brennan was not a gambling addict. She was not a degenerate chasing losses across the casino floor at 3 in the morning. She was not the cautionary tale Las Vegas loves to tell about itself, the sad figure hunched over a machine, feeding it everything she had. She was something far more ordinary and far more dangerous to the casino industry's self-image. She was a regular person, a working woman, the kind of Las Vegas resident the Strip is built on the backs of but never built for. Cynthia had grown up in the shadow of the neon. Las Vegas was not a fantasy to her the way it is to the tourists who fly in from Ohio or Michigan, dreaming about reinvention. It was just home. A city like any other city, except the city's main industry was separating visitors from their money. She worked as a cocktail waitress, walking casino floors, carrying drinks, watching high rollers win and lose fortunes while she collected tips and clocked out. She knew what gambling looked like up close. She had no illusions about the odds. When she played small. A few coins, a few machines. The kind of recreational gambling that millions of Americans do on vacation without giving it a second thought. She was not trying to get rich. She was not trying to escape anything. She was a woman on a day off doing what people in Las Vegas do when they have a few hours and a few dollars and nowhere in particular to be. January 26th, 2000. A Saturday. Cynthia was at the Desert Inn. Now you have to understand what the Desert Inn was in January of 2000. It was not what it had been. The glamour years were behind it. Howard Hughes had bought it in 1967, famously refusing to leave his penthouse suite for 4 years. The Rat Pack had drunk at its bars. World-class golf had been played on its grounds. But by 2000, the Desert Inn was a casino in its final chapter. Steve Wynn would buy it just months later, close it, and eventually build Wynn Las Vegas on the site. The Desert Inn in January of 2000 was old Vegas, holding on by its fingernails. But the machines were still running. And one machine in particular had been building something extraordinary for months. The Megabucks machine. If you have ever been to Nevada, you have seen one. They sit on casino floors across the state, linked together by a network operated by International Game Technology, IGT, the largest slot machine manufacturer in the world. The Megabucks system works like a lottery. Every time someone feeds a coin into any Megabucks machine, anywhere in Nevada, a fraction of that coin feeds a pooled jackpot. Hundreds of machines, thousands of players, millions of dollars accumulating over weeks and months, until one person, on one machine, on one pull, hits the combination that releases it all. By January of 2000, that jackpot had been building for a long time. It sat at $34.9 million, the largest slot machine jackpot in history at that point. A number so large it was almost abstract, the kind of money that does not feel real until it has your name on it. Cynthia sat down at that machine on a Saturday night. She was on her day off. She had a cup of coins, and she played. The night everything changed. There is a moment every slot player knows. It lasts maybe half a second. The coins are in. The handle is pulled, or the button is pressed. The reels are spinning. And you are suspended between the life you have and the life you might be about to get. It does not matter if you are playing for nickels or for the megabucks jackpot. That half second of pure suspension is the same. It is the reason people sit at these machines for hours. Not for the wins, not even for the hope of winning, but for that brief moment when the future has not been decided yet and anything is still possible. The reels stopped. The lights exploded. The sirens the casinos install for exactly this reason, not because they care about your joy, but because a screaming machine draws a crowd, and a crowd draws more players, started wailing across the floor of the Desert Inn. The number on the screen was $34.9 million. Cynthia J had just hit the largest slot machine jackpot ever recorded in the history of Nevada, in the history of the world. Floor staff came running. A crowd gathered. Other gamblers pressed in to see the screen, to see the woman sitting in front of it, to see that number that made every other number in the building irrelevant. Cynthia's reaction, by her own later account, was pure disbelief. Not the theatrical jumping up and down disbelief of a game show contestant. Real disbelief. The kind that settles into your chest slowly. The kind where your brain keeps checking the screen and counting the zeros because it cannot accept what your eyes are telling it. Her immediate family was called. Photographs were taken. The casino smiling alongside her. The performance of joy. The image of a winner. Because a winner at the Megabucks machine is good marketing. A winner at the Megabucks machine is proof that the dream is real, that anyone can sit down with a cup of coins and walk away with a fortune. The casino's initial response was celebration. Congratulations, Miss J. Can we take your picture? Behind the scenes, the gears of a very different machine were already turning. There is a process for verifying a jackpot of this size. It does not just get paid out at the cage like a $200 scratcher. IGT technicians have to be called. The machine must be inspected. The data logs must be pulled. The combination of symbols must be verified against the machine's internal records. This is standard procedure, and in theory it protects everyone. It protects the casino against fraud. It protects the player against being sent home before the numbers are confirmed. Cynthia waited. The crowd stayed. The lights on the machine kept flashing. And then the technicians arrived. The atmosphere in the Desert Inn changed in a way Cynthia would later say she felt before anyone said a word. The machine speaks, and Vegas listens. International Game Technology, IGT, founded in Reno in 1975. By 2000, it was a publicly traded company worth billions, the dominant force in slot machine manufacturing in the United States, and one of the most powerful entities in the Nevada gaming industry. When you play a slot machine in Las Vegas, there is a very good chance it was built by IGT. The Megabucks network was their creation, their crown jewel, their proof that slot machines could do something casinos had never imagined. Build jackpots so large they became news events that generated free publicity worth millions. IGT built the dream. IGT also built the escape hatch. When the technicians pulled the data from the machine Cynthia had been playing, they found something. A software irregularity, they called it. A display error. The machine, according to IGT, had malfunctioned. The combination of symbols on the screen was not a valid winning combination under the machine's internal programming. What Cynthia had seen, what everyone in that casino had seen, was a ghost. A mistake. A number that should never have appeared. And then IGT, and then the Desert Inn, invoked 6 words. 6 words that are printed on every slot machine in the state of Nevada. 6 words so small and so universal that nobody reads them, because nobody who sits down at a slot machine genuinely believes they are going to need to. 6 words that are the single most important sentence in the legal architecture of the American casino industry. Malfunction voids all pays and plays. That was it. That was the entire legal argument. The machine malfunctioned. Therefore, the jackpot is void. Therefore, Cynthia J, the cocktail waitress who had watched the lights flash and heard the sirens and felt her life tilt on its axis, was not a winner. She was told she would not be receiving $34.9 million. What she was offered instead, the consolation, the settlement figure that IGT and the casino apparently believed was reasonable, was a fraction. Reports varied on the exact number. Some said it was as low as a few $100,000. The gap between what the screen had promised and what the casino was willing to pay was so vast, so obscene, that it almost defied comprehension. Cynthia J said no. The fine print, how Vegas protects itself. To understand why she lost, you have to understand who built the room she was fighting in. The Nevada Gaming Control Board was established in 1955 to regulate the casino industry. It has 3 members appointed by the governor. Below it sits the Nevada Gaming Commission, which has 5 members also appointed by the governor. Together, these bodies are supposed to be the referee between the casino and the player. They issue licenses, enforce regulations, and adjudicate disputes. They are, in theory, the player's protection against an industry that, left entirely to its own devices, would have no incentive whatsoever to treat customers fairly. Here is the thing about Nevada gaming regulation that nobody puts on a billboard on the Strip. The industry funds it. The industry staffs it. Former gaming regulators routinely go to work for the casinos they once regulated. The fees the casinos pay fund the board's operations. The regulations themselves are written with significant industry input. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is public record. This is just how regulatory capture works in an industry powerful enough to shape the rules of its own oversight. The word industry is what matters here. The malfunction clause did not appear by accident. It became standard language in Nevada gaming regulations across the 1970s and the 1980s, during the period when slot machines were transitioning from mechanical devices to computerized ones. The argument for it was reasonable on its face. Computer systems fail. Power surges happen. Software has bugs. If a machine displays a number because of a genuine technical error, the casino should not be required to pay it. That argument makes sense. The problem is what the clause became. Because the clause contains no definition of malfunction. It contains no independent verification process. It contains no requirement that the casino prove to any third party before the fact, in real time, that a malfunction actually occurred, as opposed to simply claiming that one did. The determination of whether a malfunction happened is made by the machine manufacturer, in this case IGT, which had a financial interest in the outcome, and then reviewed by a regulatory board that the industry helps fund. Cynthia J did not just have to beat a slot machine. She had to beat the entire system that the slot machine industry had spent decades building. Other cases had come before hers. There had been disputed jackpots across Nevada going back years. There was a man in Reno who hit what appeared to be a massive payout and was told the machine glitched. There was a woman in Laughlin whose winnings evaporated behind the same 6-word shield. The cases rarely made national news because the amounts were smaller and the players gave up. But they formed a pattern that anyone looking closely could see. The bigger the jackpot, the more likely the malfunction claim. Think about that. When someone wins $20, nobody insects the machine. Nobody calls the technicians. The $20 gets paid without a second thought. But when the jackpot reaches the kind of number that would require the casino to actually write a check that hurts, the machine is suddenly under scrutiny. Data logs are pulled. a software irregularity is detected. Cynthia J saw the pattern. Her lawyer saw it, and she decided to fight. The fight begins. Lawyers, hearings, headlines. She hired an attorney and filed a complaint with the Nevada Gaming Control Board. She was not just asking for her money. She was asking the system to look at itself honestly, to acknowledge that a woman had sat down at a machine, played by the rules, hit what every visible indicator said was a winning combination, and was being denied the result by a clause designed by the industry that profits from denying it. The media found the story almost immediately. The story was irresistible. A cocktail waitress, $34.9 million. A corporation saying no. Every newspaper in the country understood what that headline was. This was David versus Goliath. This was the little guy against the machine, literally and figuratively. This was the American dream getting mugged in broad daylight on the casino floor and then being denied afterward. National coverage followed. Cynthia gave interviews. She was dignified, clear, not hysterical. She did not ask for sympathy. She asked for what the screen had said she won. She described sitting at the machine, watching the reels, seeing the number. She described the celebration that became an interrogation. She described the moment the suits arrived, the congratulations stopped, and she understood that something had shifted in the room. Her lawyers argued that the machine's visible output, what the player can see and act upon, has to carry legal weight. That a contract forms between the player and the casino when coins go in and the machine makes a representation, that you cannot accept a player's money, display a winning combination, celebrate publicly, take photographs, and then invoke fine print to void the entire transaction. IGT's defense was technical. Engineers testified. Data logs were presented. The internal state of the machine at the moment of the alleged jackpot, they argued, did not match a valid winning combination regardless of what the display showed. The display was wrong. The display had lied. And the display, under Nevada law, was not the final authority. The machine's internal records were. The casino's position was simpler. They followed the rules. The rules said malfunction voids all pays and plays. The technicians said there was a malfunction. Case closed. The Nevada Gaming Control Board hearing room was not a court of law. It was an administrative proceeding. The board members were not judges. The rules of evidence were not the same. The standard of proof was not the same. And the board was not a neutral party in any meaningful sense of that phrase. Cynthia took the stand. She told them what happened. She told them what she saw. She told them what it felt like to have $34.9 million, enough to change not just her life, but the lives of everyone she loved, appear on a screen, and then get explained away by a software report she had no ability to verify or contest. The emotional weight of that, of having to sit in a room and argue that you deserve the thing the machine told you you'd won, is not something that shows up in legal filings. But it was real. And everyone in that room knew it. The board rules, and the house wins. The Nevada Gaming Control Board sided with IGT and the Desert Inn. The malfunction clause was clear. The machine had malfunctioned. The jackpot was void. The board's ruling was not a close call, not a reluctant decision weighted with caveats and concerns. It was a clean ruling in favor of the industry. What Cynthia J received in place of $34.9 million has been reported differently in different accounts over the years. What is consistent is this. It was not $34.9 million. It was not close to $34.9 million. It was a number designed to make the problem go away quietly, offered to a woman who had just been told by the regulatory system that was supposed to protect her that the system was not on her side. She pursued civil action. Appeals were filed. Lawyers argued in rooms that were not televised, in processes that were not covered by the same reporters who had made her case famous. The legal follow-up was long, slow, expensive, and grinding, in the way that fighting a billion-dollar industry is always grinding, not because the law does not apply, but because the industry has more lawyers and more time and more money than any individual player ever will. The ruling echoed outward in ways that were never reported as loudly as the original story. Because what the board had affirmed was a principle, not just a ruling. The principle was this: in Nevada, the number on the screen is not a promise. It is a suggestion. It is subject to revision. It can be displayed, celebrated, photographed, and then quietly unmade by 6 words on a placard nobody reads. Every slot player in Nevada was living under that principle. Most of them just did not know it yet. They still do not. Vegas moved on. It always does. The Desert Inn was sold to Steve Wynn months later. It was imploded in 2001. The Megabucks jackpot reset and began climbing again. IGT kept manufacturing machines. The casinos kept accepting coins. And Cynthia J went home. Home sauce, to a life that the money was supposed to have changed. What happened after the cruelest chapter? Less than 2 months after the jackpot. Less than 2 months after sitting at that machine. After the lights and the sirens, and the legal battle, and the board ruling. Cynthia J was a passenger in a car. A drunk driver ran a red light and slammed into the vehicle. Cynthia's sister Layla, who had been celebrating the jackpot win alongside her, who had stood in that casino and marveled at the number on the screen, was killed in the crash. Cynthia was left paralyzed from the chest down. There is no way to write that with the appropriate weight. There is no sentence that does justice to the layers of it. The woman who had been denied $34.9 million, money that might have meant anything, a house, security, freedom, a different life, was now in a wheelchair. The sister who had shared the moment of joy with her was gone. The accident affected the legal proceedings in ways both practical and profound. Cynthia's ability to fight was diminished not just emotionally but physically and financially. The medical costs of a spinal cord injury are crushing. The costs of litigation are crushing. The costs of both simultaneously, without the $34.9 million that was supposed to be hers, were a specific and particular kind of cruelty that the law had no mechanism to address. What struck people who followed the story was how Cynthia J carried herself through all of it. She did not collapse into bitterness. She did not become a symbol of rage. She spoke about her sister with grief and love. She spoke about her own situation with a clarity that was harder to look at than anger would have been. She had been given the worst hand that life can deal, not once, but twice, in the span of 60 days. And she absorbed it with a grace that made the casino industry's behavior look even smaller by comparison. The drunk driver was convicted and sentenced. His name belongs to a courthouse record. Cynthia's name belongs to history. The money never came. The sister never came back. The wheelchair became permanent, and the Megabucks machine, at whatever casino it was, moved to, kept accepting coins from people who had never heard of Cynthia J. The bigger machine, how Vegas was built to never lose. She was not the only one. In 2016, a woman named Katrina Bookman sat down at a slot machine at Resorts World Casino in New York City. The machine displayed a jackpot of $42.9 million, bigger than Cynthia's, the largest slot jackpot in New York State history, if it was real. The casino told her it wasn't. Malfunction, they said. The machine malfunctioned. What Katrina Bookman was offered in place of $42.9 million was a free steak dinner. A steak dinner. If you needed a single image to understand how the casino industry views the player in a jackpot dispute, that is it. $42.9 million on a screen, and the response from the house is a meal that costs $30. The New York State Gaming Commission sided with the casino. The malfunction clause was invoked. Katrina Bookman got nothing but the stake. The pattern held. Iowa, Atlantic City, Mississippi. Disputed jackpots, malfunction claims, regulatory bodies that side with the industry. Players left with nothing but legal bills and the memory of a number on a screen that turned out to mean nothing at all. The malfunction clause is not a protection against technical errors. That is its stated purpose. Its actual function, the function it has performed repeatedly, across decades, across states, in case after case, is as a financial escape hatch. A mechanism by which a casino can accept a player's money, display a number, and then reclaim the outcome, the moment that outcome becomes too expensive to honor. This is not engineering, it is policy. It was decided by people in rooms. It was written into regulations by an industry with enough lobbying power to write its own rules. It has been defended in hearing rooms stocked with regulators who came from the industry and will return to it. And it has survived because the people it harms, the Cynthia J's, the Katrina Bookmans, are individuals fighting alone against systems that were specifically designed to withstand individual challenges. The House doesn't just win at the table. The House wins in the legislature. The House wins in the courtroom. The House wins in the fine print. That is not an accident. That is engineering of a different kind. The kind that takes decades to build and happens in places without neon signs or cocktail waitresses, or any of the glamour Las Vegas uses to make you forget that the entire enterprise is tilted against you from the moment you walk in. What Vegas owes and never pays, Cynthia J. Brennan is still alive. She lives with the paralysis that the drunk driver left her with. She lives without the $34.9 million that the machine and the moment and the laws of probability had briefly suggested might be hers. She has spoken publicly over the years, not with the frequency of someone selling a story, but with the quiet consistency of someone who wants people to understand what happened and why it matters. The Desert Inn, where she sat at that machine on January 26, 2000, is gone, imploded. Wynn Las Vegas stands on the site, a billion-dollar resort. Steve Wynn's name in neon. The fountains and the luxury and the promise that this city makes to every person who arrives with money and hope. The Megabucks machines are still out there. Right now, as you watch this, there are Megabucks machines on casino floors across Nevada with jackpots climbing toward numbers that would change any life. The network is still running. IGT is still manufacturing. The jackpots are still building. And somewhere on every one of those machines, in letters small enough that you have to lean in to read them, are 6 words. Malfunction voids all pays and plays. The person sitting at the machine right now probably has not read them. Why would they? You do not sit down at a slot machine thinking about the fine print. You sit down thinking about the number on the screen, about what that number would mean, about the moment the reels stop and the lights explode and the sirens go off and the floor staff comes running. You think about winning. That is what Vegas sells. That is the entire product. The dream that the next pull is the one. That the odds do not apply to you today. That the city built on gambling debt and mob money and broken dreams is going to make an exception just this once. Just for you. Cynthia J. thought she had won. The machine said she had won. Every light and siren and camera in that casino said she had won. And the system, the interlocking industry-funded clause, protected regulatory captured system, said otherwise. Vegas was built on one promise above all others. Anyone can win. The fine print says something different. The fine print says you can win right up until the moment winning becomes inconvenient for the house. And then there is paperwork. And then there are technicians. And then there are 6 words. And then the dream is over. The neon still burns on the strip. It burns where the Desert Inn used to stand. It burns on the megabucks machines scattered across 100 casino floors. It burns on the jackpot totals ticking upward. 20 million, 30 million, climbing toward the kind of number that makes people call their families and take photographs and believe, just for a moment, that their life has changed. The screen in Las Vegas has always been the most expensive liar in the world. It shows you the dream in full color, bright as the sun, loud as a siren. It just does not always have to deliver it. And somewhere in a wheelchair, in the quiet of a life that was remade by a drunk driver and unmade by 6 words, Cynthia J knows exactly what the screen is worth. She held the winning combination in her hands. She sat in front of the flashing lights. She heard the sirens, and Vegas told her she was wrong. Tell me in the comments, did you know about Cynthia J's story before today? If you believe the malfunction clause needs to change, say so. The only thing the house fears more than a winner is a crowd that knows the rules. Hit subscribe because every legend has a story and Vegas never forgets.